They say professional stuntmen know no fear. Nonsense. Jack Morrison, the best car stunt coordinator in Hollywood, know it all too well, especially now as I hold my wife's phone with photos of her secret meetings with Brad Stone, the biggest action star and, concurrently, a rare coward who built his career on my stunts. 8 years of marriage turned to dust in the seconds it took me to scroll through those pictures. And somewhere in the next room, my 18-year-old son Mike is getting ready for his first gig as a stunt double, unaware that his mother is planning to run off with the man who stole his father's glory. It's your own fault. A voice inside whispers as I review the photos of their trysts for the 100th time. Always away on shoots, risking your life for others, while she. Blood pounds in my temples, hands clenching into fists on their own. Especially at the last shot. Brad tenderly kissing my wife in the very restaurant where I proposed to her. A diamond bracelet glistens on her wrist, clearly not one a stuntman's salary could afford. The photos were sent by Tom, an old cameraman from the studio. Sorry, man, he wrote, couldn't keep silent any longer. They've been seeing each other for 6 months, right after you did that complex falling car stunt for him. The one he got an award for while you only got a line in the credits. The bitter irony of fate. The man who shakes with fear at the sight of a speeding car receives accolades for stunts performed by others. The ring of the phone makes me flinch. A text from the producer of a new blockbuster flashes on screen. Need a head stunt coordinator. Unlimited budget. Brad Stone is the lead. You in? My lips stretch into a smile that would send shivers down a normal person's spine. Oh, I'm all right. I'm so in. Dad, you okay? Mike pokes his head into the office, and I hastily lock the phone. He's beaming with anticipation. Today is his first day as a stunt double on a low-budget series. So young and naive as I once was. Just tired, I reply, hiding the bitterness behind a professional smile. Let him not know yet. Let him not see his world crumbling to pieces. That evening, I sit in my garage, flipping through the script of the new movie. Here, among tools and spare parts, thoughts become crystal clear. The plan for revenge falls into place on its own, like pieces of an intricate stunt. I'll have 3 months of shooting, 3 months to show everyone the true face of the great actor, to make him admit his own impotence, and let my wife see who she's about to give her life to. I take an old videotape out of the safe, a recording of Brad's first auditions for an action hero role. A trembling voice, frightened eyes, sweat on his forehead at the sight of stunts. I, I can't do this, the future star mumbles, clutching the seat of a sports car. And then, through editing magic, his interview for a glossy magazine. I always do my own stunts. It's a matter of professional honor. Honor? The word sounds like a mockery coming from his mouth. Another text from her on the phone screen. Don't wait up. Meeting with clients is running late. How thoughtful. Warning her husband while cooing with her lover in a fancy restaurant. I wondered, does she also believe his lies? The image of a fearless hero who actually trembles at the sight of a speeding car. Mike pops into the garage, excited after his first day on the job. Guess what, Dad? I got hired as a stunt double for the new movie with Brad Stone, the one where you'll be the head coordinator. His eyes shine with delight, and I feel everything tightening inside. My son will become an unwitting participant in this drama. But maybe it's for the best. Let him see how his idol turns into a coward in front of the camera. Let him understand there's no place for pretense in our line of work. Just be careful with the stunts, he says with a smile. Mom's worried. I nod, clenching my teeth so hard my jaw aches. If only he knew how his mother worries, spending evenings with the man who stole his father's glory. The plan in my head takes on clear outlines. I will gradually make the stunts more complex, step by step, leading Brad to the edge where the hero's mask will fall off on its own. Each take will be a little more difficult than the last, each scene a little more dangerous. And then in the finale, when the cameras are rolling and there's no turning back, he'll face his ultimate choice. Admit his cowardice or risk his life for a lie. I spend the next 3 days in the garage, meticulously working out each scene of the upcoming movie. My hands mechanically shuffle through blueprints and stunt diagrams while dozens of scenarios play out in my head. Here's the schematic for a bridge rollover stunt, a standard element for any stuntman. But what if we increase the speed? What if we add oncoming traffic? All within safety regulations, of course. Just a bit harder, a bit scarier, a bit closer to the edge where true courage is tested. Jack, is everything all right? My wife peeks into the garage with a cup of coffee, playing the caring spouse. Her perfume, a new expensive scent, clearly not one I gifted, mingles with the smell of engine oil. Of course, honey, I smile, hiding the blueprints of the most dangerous stunts, just preparing for the new project. With Brad Stone. She barely noticeably flinches at the mention of his name, but quickly composes herself. Yeah, I heard. He's a magnificent actor. I nod, relishing how she tries to hide her nervousness. Oh, yes, a real hero, especially in stunt scenes. By the way, don't you find it strange that in his last movie, all the dangerous moments were shot from afar or in semi darkness? In the evening, I review the preliminary shooting schedule, the final scene. A car chase along a mountain serpentine road with a subsequent jump across a chasm. This is where, in front of the entire crew, our hero will have to make a choice. Get behind the wheel himself or admit his cowardice. And I'll make sure every camera is rolling. Every mic is hot when his mask finally falls off. The first day of filming began with rain, a light, nasty drizzle turning the asphalt of the set into a mirror-like surface. Perfect weather for what I had planned. Brad nervously shifted from foot to foot under a huge umbrella held by his assistant while the makeup artists fussed over his heroic look for the 100th time. Maybe we should postpone the shooting. Hints of familiar fear slip into his voice. In this weather, even a simple acceleration can be dangerous. I slowly turn to him, relishing how he tries to hide the trembling in his knees. Dangerous. I ask with feigned surprise. But in your last interview, you said weather is no obstacle for a real professional. Remember? I always do my own stunts, in any conditions. I believe that's how it went. A shadow crosses his face. He remembers that interview, another lie for the public, another appropriation of someone else's glory. He also remembers that on the day in question, he was hiding in his trailer while I performed the stunt on the wet track. Brad approaches the car like a man headed for the gallows. His fingers, adorned with expensive rings, tremble slightly as he grabs the door handle. I notice how he furtively wipes his sweaty palms on pants that cost a stuntman's monthly salary. Take one. I command into the megaphone, deliberately making my voice louder. And remember, Mr. Stone, the camera will be capturing your face in close-up through the windshield. The audience must see every emotion of a real hero. The car starts with jerks. He's clearly not coping with his nerves. The speedometer needle barely crawls to 50 when our hero begins to panic. Screeching brakes, an awkward turn, and the car freezes 10 meters from the designated point. Cut. That's a wrap. I approach the car where Brad sits, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles. What happened? Too difficult for an actor with such a rich history of stunts. I'm just warming up. He tries to save face, but his trembling voice betrays him. It will be better next time. The next take is even worse, and the next, and the next. After the fifth attempt, the crew begins to whisper. I notice cameraman Tom discreetly filming with an additional camera. Every failure, every drop of sweat on the star's forehead captured for posterity. Maybe we should use a stunt double. The director finally can't stand it anymore. Brad perks up as if slapped. His reputation is hanging by a thread, and he knows it. No, his voice rises to a falsetto. I'll do it. Just give me a minute. Of course, I nod sympathetically. Just keep in mind, we'll soon be filming more complex scenes. The ones where, according to the script, your character demonstrates real driving mastery. By the way, Mike. My son emerges from the group of stuntmen, fit and self-assured. Show Mr. Stone how a proper drift should look. Mike gets behind the wheel, and the car comes alive under his hands. The roar of the engine, the whistle of tires on wet asphalt, the perfect trajectory. He stops right on the designated spot, and the crew erupts in applause. Brad pales at the mention of a business dinner, His face is covered in perspiration, and his hands begin to shake even more. I slowly circle the car, tapping my fingers on the hood. You know what's most important in our line of work? I ask loudly enough for the whole set to hear. Trust. Between the stuntman and the car. Between the actor and the crew. Between people. I pause on the last word, looking him straight in the eye. When trust is betrayed, accidents happen. Enough. He flies out of the car, forgetting his star image. You're deliberately complicating everything. These stunts, they're impossible. Impossible? I nod at Mike, who's just taking off his helmet. My son, a rookie in the profession, just performed them on the first try. Maybe the problem isn't with the stunts. Maybe it's that some people claim credit for other people's glory, other people's work, and other people's families. A heavy silence hangs. The crew is frozen, watching our confrontation. Tom discreetly moves around, choosing the best angle for filming. I'll talk to the producer. Brad finally manages. This is beyond. Of course it's beyond, I agree. The truth always comes out. By the way, tomorrow we're filming the scene with the car catching fire. Your character must escape from a burning vehicle at full speed. I'm sure with your experience it will be spectacular. In the evening, reviewing the footage in the editing room, I make a compilation of the highlights of his disgrace. Every trembling hand, every frightened look, every failed attempt goes into the stash. Tom, I say, handing him a flash drive. Spread this through our channels. Let people see who their idol really is. Are you sure? The cameraman shakes his head. This could cost him his career. Not just his career, I take out my phone and show the latest message from my wife. Sorry, running late again. Important meeting. Some things are more valuable than fame. For example, honesty, loyalty, dignity. Mike walks into the editing room, still pumped after successful stunts. Dad, did you see? I did everything just like you taught me. And that star, he falters, noticing the expression on my face. Late in the evening, I return to an empty house. A note from my wife on the kitchen table. Had to leave urgently for a meeting with partners. We'll be back late. The handwriting is nervous, letters jumping. She was clearly in a hurry. Next to it lies a glossy magazine with Brad's photo on the cover and a loud headline. The most fearless actor in Hollywood. Fearless. I chuckle, taking a folder with the plan of tomorrow's stunts out of the safe. I unfold the blueprints on the table, checking every detail of the upcoming scene with the burning car. Everything should be perfectly safe, just enough to seem lethally dangerous. Can't sleep. Mike comes down to the kitchen, his eyes shining with excitement after the first successful day. Preparing for tomorrow's shoot. Sit down, son. I push the blueprints aside. We need to talk. What's happening on set? It's more than just filming. You understand that, right? He nods, and in his gaze I see an adult-like seriousness. I saw them together, he says quietly. Mom and him. At that coastal restaurant where you took us for my 16th birthday. They didn't notice me and I didn't know how to tell you. Something tightens in my chest at these words. My son, my boy, forced to carry this burden alone. Tomorrow everything will change, I say, squeezing his shoulder. Tomorrow everyone will get what they deserve. The phone vibrates. A message from Tom. The material is already online. The first comments are appearing. I open the link. On the screen, Brad, pale with fear, can't start the car. The next clip, his trembling hands on the steering wheel. Another one. His tantrum after a failed take. Look, I show Mike the phone. Here is the flip side of fame. A man who built a career on lies eventually stumbles over his own fear. At that moment, a key turns in the door. The wife is back. She reeks of expensive perfume and guilt. She tries to muster a tired smile, but I see the anxiety in her eyes. How was the first day of filming? She asks, carefully feigning interest. Amazing, I reply, hiding the phone with the compromising video. Your friend showed his true colors. Tomorrow will be even more interesting. By the way, don't you want to come to the set? See how a real professional works? She pales but keeps her composure. Sorry, important meeting tomorrow. Of course, I nod. Important meetings are sacred. Say hi to your partners. That night, I barely sleep, going over the details of tomorrow's plan in my head. Somewhere in the city, Brad isn't sleeping either, undoubtedly calling agents, trying to hush up the increasingly popular video of his disgrace. And my wife, well, let her enjoy the last hours of her lie. Tomorrow, all masks will fall off. Tomorrow, the truth will burst out like flames from a car prepared for a stunt, and let everyone get their dose of burns. He who plays with fire must be ready for pain. The morning of the decisive day was unnaturally quiet. No wind, no random sounds, as if nature itself held its breath before the final act of our drama. I stood on the edge of the mountain serpentine, peering into the abyss the car was supposed to jump over. 120 feet of emptiness separating one part of the road from the other. For a real professional, a difficult but doable stunt. For a coward posing as a hero, a death sentence. All safety systems have been double-checked, the technical director reports to me. But it's still crazy. Even experienced stuntmen rarely dare to do this. I nod, glancing at my watch. 15 minutes until Brad's arrival. I wonder if he had time to read the morning tabloids. They just published a scathing article about his yesterday's exploits. Every failed attempt to perform the simplest stunt, every moment of his shameful failure. Dad, Mike approaches silently, handing me a cup of coffee. Do you think he'll even show up? He will, I smirk. His agent has already called 3 times. They understand. If he runs away now, his career is over. The only chance to save his reputation is to do this stunt. Tom appears on set with a camera. Did you see? He shows me his phone. The video of his tantrum yesterday has already gotten 2 million views. People can't believe their idol turned out to be so pathetic. We interrupt our conversation, hearing the roar of an engine. Brad's black SUV drives onto the set, surrounded by an entourage of managers and agents. Among them, I notice my wife. She came to watch her lover's triumph or his final downfall. This is suicide, is the first thing Brad yells as he gets out of the car. His face is covered in an unhealthy pallor, and his hands are shaking so badly he can't properly zip up his protective jumpsuit. No one can make this jump. All calculations have been verified. My voice is pointedly calm. Speed of 110 miles per hour on acceleration, takeoff angle of 30 degrees. Elementary physics. Isn't that what you talked about in your last interview? About how you love challenging stunts, how adrenaline boils in your blood. The crew takes their positions. I specifically instructed to set up the cameras to capture his every move, every emotion on his face. Let the whole world see what the bravery of this hero is really worth. Action. My voice carries across the hushed set. Brad sits behind the wheel of the sports car, his fingers nervously tapping the leather-wrapped steering wheel. His eyes are filled with animal fear, poorly masked by a feigned confidence. You deliberately made it more difficult, he hisses through his teeth as I lean over to the window for final instructions. This stunt is impossible to do. Impossible. I ostentatiously look around the cameras. But didn't you say in your last interview how you adore extreme driving? How you personally perform all the difficult stunts? Or was that also a lie, like your feelings for my wife? His face twitches as if slapped. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice how my dear spouse is paled. What? Unpleasant to hear the truth, darling. The car starts moving. Brad drives through the first turns of the serpentine uncertainly, too slowly. Everything about him gives it away. The tense posture, the convulsive grip on the steering wheel, the gaze darting between the road and the cliff. He already knows he won't jump, and I know it, and the cameras, recording his every second of shame, know it too. On the penultimate turn, where he needs to start accelerating for the jump, what I've been waiting for these past days happens. The screech of brakes cuts through the air, the car swerves sharply to the side. Brad literally tumbles out of the cabin, his face contorted with fear and rage. This is sabotage, he yells, pointing a trembling finger at me. He deliberately set up an impossible stunt, wanted to kill me. This is all revenge because his wife chose me. A murmur runs through the crowd of technicians and extras. The cameras keep rolling, capturing his every second of hysteria. I calmly take out the documents from my tablet. Here's your signature on the contract, Mr. Stone. And here are the technical specifications of the stunt, absolutely standard for a professional of your level. I'll do this stunt. Mike's voice sounds unexpectedly firm. My son steps forward, his eyes burning with determination. I'll prove it's not about the difficulty. It's about the cowardice of certain actors. Something tightens in my chest at these words. Pride mixes with fear. The stunt is really not easy. I look at my son, so young and so resolute, and for the first time during this whole revenge plan, it seems like a monstrous risk to me. Son, my voice betrays me with a tremble. Dad, I can handle it. He looks me straight in the eye, and at this moment, I see my younger self in him. The same confidence, the same fearlessness, the same desire to prove his truth. You taught me yourself. The main thing is not to be afraid to show who you really are. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice my wife taking a step forward, clearly intending to say something. But Brad grabs her arm, pulling her back. Even now, he thinks only of himself, of his reputation crumbling before the eyes of the entire crew. Let's go. I nod to the technicians, and they begin to prepare the car for a new run. Each movement is precise, each check done twice. This will not just be a stunt, it will be a moment of truth. Mike gets behind the wheel. His movements are confident, calm, not a shadow of the fussy panic that Brad had. The engine comes to life under his hands, as if the car feels a real professional. Ready? I ask over the walkie-talkie. Always, I hear a smile in his voice. Watch, Dad, how it's supposed to be done. The car starts moving, and from the very first seconds it becomes clear. This is a whole different level. Mike takes the first turn perfectly, with that special grace that distinguishes a true master. He takes the second turn even more confidently, gradually increasing speed. Cameras follow his every move. Tom specifically takes a close-up of his face through the windshield, and instead of fear and panic, there's only the concentration of a professional. Acceleration, the last turn. The car flies towards the edge of the cliff, picking up the specified 110 miles per hour. I involuntarily hold my breath. The takeoff from the ground seems weightless, almost graceful. Flight. Time stretches out, as if in slow motion. Come on, son, I whisper, clutching the walkie-talkie. Come on. The landing is perfect. Right on the calculated spot. Screeching brakes, a turn, and the car freezes right in front of the camera. Mike gets out of the cabin with the calm confidence that's worth more than any ostentatious bravado. The set explodes with applause. Technicians, stuntmen, even cameramen. Everyone salutes the real professional. And I look at my wife and see her crying silently, smearing mascara on her cheeks. Now she understands that she exchanged the real thing for a fake, gold for tinsel. Brad disappears from the set, not even trying to save the remnants of his dignity. His agents bustle about, trying to control the damage, but it's too late. The video of his shameful escape and Mike's triumphant jump is already spreading across the web. The next few days fly by in a haze. The tabloids compete in the loudness of headlines. Scandalous expose. Action star turns out to be a coward. End of a career. How the soap bubble burst. Stuntman's son surpasses Hollywood star. Mike is showered with offers from major studios. Everyone wants to work with the young talent who proved his mastery. You know, my wife tells me in the evening when we're finally alone in our empty house. I was such a fool. I fell in love with the screen image, a pretty picture. And the real hero was next to me all this time. It's too late. I shake my head, packing my things in a suitcase. Some things can't be glued back together. Sometimes one moment of weakness, one wrong decision destroys everything that was built over the years. And a week later, Mike gets his first serious contract. I watch my son reading the terms of the deal and realize he learned the main lesson. That in our profession, as in life, there's no place for pretense. There's only honesty, professionalism, and a willingness to take responsibility for your actions. Brad doesn't star in action movies anymore. They say his agent is trying to rebrand him for comedy roles, but the public doesn't forget. The internet remembers everything.